Back in 1932, the Ford plant in Geelong apparently received a letter that said,
Oh, come on, make a ute. I'll put me pigs in the back.
the actual letter was pretty wordy, but that was the gist of it. Lucky for the farmer's wife who sent that letter, the manager of the Geelong plant was a total legend, and 2 years later the same plant was pumping out a run of 500 new Ford Coupe utilities. Holden, the other company that would take part in the fucked up ute space race, was a bit slow to catch up, but they had their own coupe utility version of the Holden FX by 1951. Since the coupe utility wasn't a totally different model like American-style trucks were, but just a different body style for existing models, Holden and Ford evolved the ute alongside their regular sedans and wagons. Ford found their jam pretty quickly with the XK Falcon in 1961, and Holden made a ute option for each generation of the Holden Special and continued to do the same for the Kingswood, which succeeded the Special in '68. By the mid to late 60s, utes were well appreciated as an enthusiast vehicle, just as much as the other body styles of the same models were. The Falcon and Kingswood, alongside shorter-lived and much cooler models such as the Monaro and the Tirana, were Australia's muscle cars. For a while, they were pretty normal. Up until around 1980, the Aussie muscle car market was a good mix of coupes, sedans, wagons, panel vans, and of course, utes. In '79 though, Ford rolled out the last XC Falcon coupe, and next year's XD Falcon was hitting the market in just four-door or ute body styles. On a similar timeline, Holden killed their last muscle car with a two-door option in 1980, and by that time you couldn't afford a Tirana with a V8 for 2 years, so essentially, Holden had killed all their two-door muscle cars in a traditional sense by 1978. As far as I can tell, this is when we started getting really weird with it. The Falcon and the Kingswood, and later Holden Commodore utes, became the only domestic cars to fill the two-door, one big stinky V8 segment of the market. They really started making them look like that in the 90s, with Holden launching the VG Maloo ute under their new Holden Special Vehicles division, and Ford caught up in the early 2000s when they added the AU ute to their Tickford lineup. The aggressive styling for the HSV and Tickford, later FPV sedans, were heavily influenced by the Commodores and Falcons of the V8 Supercars Championship, but unfortunately, utes never got the same treatment, because obviously there's no race series for overpowered tradie trucks. Wait, there totally was, and believe it or not, it was called the V8 Ute Racing Series. Much like suburban Australian streets after midnight, V8 Ute Racing consisted of 16 Holden Commodore utes going very fast, 16 Ford Falcon utes, which were also going very fast, and sometimes, if you're lucky, Grant Denyers's there. Finally, they had some real race cars to emulate, so FPV and HSV offered some increasingly berserk-looking performance utes as part of their lineups, right up until they both shut down in 2014 and 17 respectively. I mean, that's what they get for calling it the coupe utility. We'll just treat it like a Mustang that you can move house with and style it accordingly. Nowadays, though, the weird ute golden age is over. Ford Australia sells essentially the same shit that you can buy in the States, and Holden's latest Commodore is an inline four-engine front-wheel drive liftback sedan imported from Germany. As if you needed any more convincing that Australia's collective soul crumbled and disappeared with a puff of smoke back in 2017, Ford doesn't even run a Falcon and V8 supercars anymore. Nope, for 2019 they've warped a Mustang body to fit supercar spec, and they're racing that like we wouldn't notice. At least V8 Ute Racing died a hero back in 2017, rather than going the V8 supercars route and living 2 more seasons just to see itself defiled by a Camaro with a truck tray or some shit.